your mind to the way, the conscious way, the way of conscious mindfulness. Podcast with me, Sifu Boggie. Sifu means guide, muse, somebody who points you along the way, who guides you on your path. Boggie means the balancer between the chaos and the calmness. And for the last 39 years, I have been studying the Daoist arts. The Dao means the way, the path, the balance. And my goal, my aim is to help you find your own personal way, whether it's to relieve chronic pain, stress and anxiety, or if you're a spiritual healer or life coach, to supercharge you to ensure you never burn out. So that's what I do. Today it is Sifu, sit down with Sifu on a Saturday. Hello, Saturday. And welcome to episode 24, which is the Dao of the I Ching. But before we get there, I would like to introduce the wonderful, the awesome, the absolutely lovely and amazing, and I'm saying that because it's true, not just because she's my girlfriend, the awesome Allis Wells. Hello, Allis. How are you doing?
Hello, I am so good. All is well, always.
Ooh, good. Okay, so welcome again to Sit Down with Sifu on a Saturday. And yep, so it's the Dao of the I Ching. So that is technically, the question already. What is the I Ching? But is there anything else you want to ask before we do? Oh, actually, who are you and what do you do?
I do have, I guess, my own stuff going on too. Oh, I mean, I think the most important part is that I'm eventually going to be a Sifu with Shen Dao, which is your Qigong school. But currently, I'm an energy healer and I do my own tarot readings online. And I'm on TikTok at Awaken Atlas and that kind of stuff. So that's what I do. I am super excited to learn about the I Ching though, because it felt like it was something that started my spiritual journey, but I found I read a lot. Half of my stuff comes from my information and from my guides and stuff they guide me towards what to read. And so I think it was back in like August or September, back when I was going through like the heaviest parts of my spiritual awakening, a reawakening, or whatever we want to call it. I was guided towards reading The Man in the High Castle. And basically it was kind of like the first thing that I read through my my third eye being opened. Honestly, reading books after I'm gonna have to go back. It actually kind of made me daunted because I was like, dang, I'm gonna have to go back and see what every book was actually about. Now I know, but they talk about the I Ching so much in The Man in the High Castle, and one of the whole things is that the characters in it are potentially too dependent on it. Everyone's always giving their power away. I mean, like every single character is like not trusting their own instincts, and they're not, they're taking it way too far. But I kind of understood from reading it. I was like, okay, this seems to be a type of oracle system. Obviously, know a little bit more about it now, but at the time I didn't even really know what Taoism was. I was like a real noob. So that's my very brief history of what I know about the I Ching. So I guess, actually tell me a little bit more about, was it something that was like, did everybody use it? Why do you know like why Philip K. Dick would have really put an emphasis in it in The Man in the High Castle? Was it something that around World War II maybe was getting real popular? Maybe people were giving their power away too much. Maybe they were relying too much on their oracles. I don't know. That's where I'm at. This is what I'm starting with.
Okay, so I'm about to open up a can of worms.
Yeah, I know. What do
the red pill, because there is now anybody who's listened to Sit Down with Sifu already we've sort of actually with the lovely Allis Wells, we talked about Reiki, and we said about the Eastern version and the Western version of Reiki. Well, surprise, there's an Eastern version and a Western version of the I Ching.
Of the I Ching? Dun dun dun. Who saw that coming?
Yeah. So in Taoism, now Taoism itself, but with everything within Taoism, therefore, there is there's all these different philosophies, all these different styles of philosophies, but one it seems to override a lot. Well, is the three, and there's a thing called the three M's, and the three M's is martial, meditational, or spiritual, and medical. Now, everything tends to fall into those three categories: the martial, the medical, and the meditational. So, like for example, and about 20 years ago when I first started, instead of the way of conscious mindfulness, it was just simply the way of, and the way of simply is the Dao, the Dao, and that's why originally I originally called my company and the things that my website was the way of, because that is the Dao is the way of, the Dao is the way, the balanced path. But there's always, there's always these different layers. So the I Ching in the West, the I Ching is seen as an oracle. Okay, it's just seen as an oracle. In the East, it's a little bit, or maybe to take away the word a little and add a lot, more complicated than that. So the I Ching.
I Ching is a lifestyle.
Where do I begin? Right, so I Ching means, in one of the translations, is the little book that tells the truth. So the and the I Ching, and before we go any further, I want to sort of say the I Ching as an oracle, it's a very Daoist oracle, so it can be really annoying in the essence of it doesn't give yes or no answers, and you shouldn't ask the I Ching yes or no answer questions. You have to ask questions like, what is the outcome of this? And then it will give you a probability, a possibility. But the I Ching, right? So the I Ching. Let's explain what the I Ching is. The I Ching is 6 lines, either broken or unbroken. So an unbroken line.
If you don't mind me interrupting really quickly, because this part actually is simple, and it's so simple that I think it does need to be clarified. The I Ching it's not cards, it's a group of sticks originally, right? Because in the book when I was reading it, I was like, what are they working with? Because I hadn't seen it physically in my existence. So I was like, what? And I finally seen pictures of it, the way that they used to be stored. It's basically like, so you have I Ching cards, and you can have these cards based on it, and the lines are really what you're reading. But originally the lines were sticks, and they had lines written in the sticks. So it's physically it's kind of like there's sticks that you read, right? I'm trying to break it down so that it exactly what it is.
Yeah, right. So what the I Ching actually is 6 lines, either a straight line, which is unbroken, or a little gap in the center. So 2 little lines. So line, gap, line, that would be called a broken line. So it's either one straight line, or it's a line, 2 lines together with a little gap in the center. Okay. Does that make sense?
So the I Ching it's basically like, so the I Ching sticks and the I Ching cards and the I Ching whatever, that's all just a totally separate thing from the actual I Ching. Is like, you could say like a language kind of you're reading.
Yeah. Well, right. Yes. Well, we haven't got to the best bits yet, but we're
gotten to you.
Yeah. Right. Well, okay. Let's throw this in, and then we'll carry on back. The I Ching's connected to DNA.
Interesting. Okay, but it's
right. So, but let's go back to. So it's either 6 lines, either one straight line or a line with a gap in the middle. So we call that a broken line. So it's line, little gap, line. So it's either broken or unbroken, and therefore there's a combination of 64 of these set. There's a set of 64. So you go for all that combination. So from 6 lines, 6 unbroken lines to 6 unbroken lines, and then all the combinations in between. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. So that's what it is in essence. Now, when you're talking about reading that or creating that to read, the cards are a very, very, very modern thing.
Yeah.
I love the cards because of the artist. The guy Richard Gill did these oracle cards.
Wait, I'm sorry. I interrupted you. Would you say that again? Who is it? Who is the
It's a very modern version. I think it was something like in I say modern. It was 20 years ago that he did them. Richard Gill is the guy that translates the I Ching, and I've got to say, for the translation, he is giving a very basic translation, super basic. There have been Western philosophers that have written a 300-page book, thick book of the I Ching, and one of the I Ching, one of those 64 is almost 3 pages of information, because there's some interesting stuff that can happen. But we'll get to that. So you have these 6. So as a deck of cards, there's 64 cards, and each card has a different transmission. Now, remember I said about the 3 M's: the medical, the martial, and the meditational. This is a bit Menren. Menren means inside the door.
Let's do it. Bust that door open.
Oh, I'm the door breaker. That door flings open a lot. So I come to my classes, and the door never shuts. It's a swing door, baby. I know. It's a swing door. So, but anyway, so
it's a rotating door.
It's a rotating door, basically. Boggie has that door flying round and round in circles all the blooming time. But anyway, so you have an oracle side to the I Ching. Okay, so where it gives you information. You have an healing side to the I Ching, so it can actually help you heal. It can actually correspond to different meridians, different parts of the body, because the very top line would be the top of the head, and the very bottom line would be your feet. So there would actually be all this information in between. Now the I Ching, this gets a little, well, we're already in the complicated stuff. You have a yin and yang. Is that, if you've ever seen that circle with the almost like a head and a little tail, so it almost looks like sort of like a fish. You've got the black fish, the Tai Chi, or the yin yang symbol.
Oh, I was like, what are you trying to describe a Tai Chi? Yeah.
So the Tai Chi symbol, I call it Tai Chi. A lot of people call it yin yang, but that's the whole story. That's another episode of why I call it Tai Chi and not yin yang, because there's a very important reason for it. But that's a whole different episode, which we'll do in the future. But so you have yin, which tends to be expansive and growing, and it is it is the greater. It can be heaven, it can be masculine, can be at least energetically masculine or active. And then, so that was yang, and then yin is more feminine. And that can be softer, it can be smaller. There's a whole list of what yin yang can be. Okay, so with those 2 lines, the straight line, the unbroken line, would be yin, would be seen as yin, and then the broken line would be seen as yang.
Wait, what? I thought we just wait. I'm also making personal notes for myself here. So expansive and growing, heaven, divine masculine is yang, and that's a broken line.
Well, actually, no, you reminded me. I'm saying it the wrong way around.
I knew that you were, which is why I said it that way.
Thank you. See, look, even I get it wrong sometimes. Okay. So
what is it? Backing it up.
Yes. So the unbroken line, the straight line, is yang.
Is yang. All right. I would have, if that was a trivia question, I would have gotten that. Yes. Okay.
The broken line is yin.
Okay.
So you get combinations of yin and yang. Okay, and that so it's almost like a sequence. It's almost like a coding. This is leading somewhere. So you get 64 combinations. So as a as an oracle, it gives you 64 different codings of information, 64 different cards if you do it as a card. But there's a twist, and we'll get to that in a minute. So as an oracle, it can be in this set of information, and there are certain ways that you can get this information. So now there's these cards, which are really nice and really pretty, but they're actually restrictive. The card is actually slightly restrictive. The other way you can do the readings is that there was actually 64 chopsticks, and each chopstick had it embedded in, had one of those 64 sets, the double trigrams, because I haven't got to that bit yet as well. The double so a trigram obviously is 3. So the double trigram makes the 64, and you have 64 chopsticks that you could read. Okay, but even that's restrictive. The other version, the actual version that a lot of the oracles would use, is actually 3 coins. And let's just say 1 coin was head and 1 coin was tail. So 1 coin was yang and 1 coin was yin. Okay. Now, the reason that they did it this way was that sometimes what would happen if you had, let's say the head was yang and the tail was yin, if you had 3 heads, that would be classed as a transferring line or a changing line. Or if you had 3 tails, that would be the same, a changing line. So if it was 3 heads, it would be a yang turning into yin. And if it was 3 tails, it'd be the other way around. Okay? It's a little bit like in tarot cards about the if the card is upside down. Think of that.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, because I feel like the only thing that I have as reference is cards and is tarot cards. So it, like in my mind, when you were like, yeah, I'm also I have these I Ching cards. I was like, oh, okay, so it seems like it's the same thing. But you're like, oh no, it's a whole ass thing.
Well, like I said, the I Ching cards will give, it's like almost like the basic version. So it will give you, you have 64 readings. But if you was to do it with coins, so if you got 2 heads, therefore that would be a unbroken line. That'd be a yang line. If you got 2 tails, that would be a yin line. So let's just say we had, you had and you throw those coins 6 times to get your 6 lines. Okay. So if you say, so if you got 6, 6 times you got 2 heads and 1 tail, that'd be 6 unbroken lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a math class where they're like, if you have 7 bottles of water and your classmate brings in 3 and then they drink 2, and I'm like, great, no, I believe you. Don't worry about it. I don't need to know. You tell me.
Right. So that would be, so that is one thing. It's basically, so 6 lines, 6 unbroken lines would be very, very yang, and it's the first trigram. It's actually creative action is one of the translations. So it's very much about great glory will come to you. The dragons are coming. Everybody's going to love you. It's sort of that. If you had 6 yin lines, so that's with those coins, that'd be 2 tails and 1 head. If you had 6, that would be 6 broken lines. That's the second card, or the second I Ching.
Oh,
And that fertility, that's the Divine Mother. That's Kuan Yin. So the creation, so, you know, one is very much about action and great rewards, and the dragons are coming in China. The dragons are a good thing, they're not a bad thing. But and then the second one is receptivity, growth into the dark, the motherhood, devoted service. So it's a devoted mother. It's the service to others. It's very much service to others, and it's very much about, you know, love and compassion. So it's a very, that card, and there's a lot more to it. I'm just giving you
yeah.
a
No,
little bit of
I'm
it.
sure this is the most watered down version possible. I mean, if people have written these insane books about it, well, very much. I mean, I think a fraction of this, like a very fractal example of this, is the fact that there are all these books written about tarot. You can read about tarot your entire life. Your relationship with your tarot cards is ever expanding. You're going to read them different at different times, as you know, different stuff. So like I Ching having so much behind it, even more so than tarot. I mean, like, I can imagine for myself, it's going to take me a really long time. I'm going to figure this out.
Because as you're reading this, each one of those lines gives you an extra little bit of information. This is where I said about that book, where each one of the I Ching had 3 pages of stuff. It's because each one of those lines means something, but we haven't got to the twist yet.
Okay, what's
So
the list?
So I talked about the first card, which one of its translations is creative action. It's very much the dragon energy. And then the second card is fertility. So it's very much Kuan Yin. It's the mother energy. It's earth. So dragon is heaven, and then the fertility, Kuan Yin, the mother, is earth. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Right.
I got this much down.
Right. Now here's the little twist. Let's say instead of six unbroken lines, so 2 heads and 1 tail, you got 6. You better do the lottery, because it's that, for this to happen is pretty amazing. But you got six lots of 3 heads. So 6 times you got 3 heads. And then again, you got 3 heads, and then again, you got 3. So you've got 6 lines. You with me so far?
Yes.
Right. So where we said 2 heads and 1 tail is a unbroken line. 3 heads is an unbroken line that turns into a broken line. So if you got 6 heads, you start off, you basically, like, if this card is upside down, you've got creative action that turns into fertility. So you actually got 2 readings. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that is interesting. That also sort of reminds me a little bit of like how in traditional cartomancy, which I don't follow because it's so complicated, but there's a little bit of like the presence of, and I guess this is with anything, but like the presence of the cards around it directly impacts what the meaning of that card is. It is not the same reading if something different comes before it or afterwards. It's kind of like no man is an island. No card is on its own. So that definitely makes sense to me, that it's you gotta add some other stuff to it. There's nuance.
Well, the whole idea is, so if you get 3 heads, it's a yang, it's that creative action turning into fertility. If it was if you had 6 tails, so 6 lots of 3 tails, it's the other way around. It's the fertility turning into creative action.
Okay.
So instead of one reading, you actually got 2, but it's one's turning into the other. So you start off in this card, but it's then going to become that other card.
Interesting.
Okay, so that means not only have you got 64 combinations, but you've actually got 64 on almost 64. Because what if you got your first line is 3 heads, your second line is 2 heads 1 tail, and then it's 2 heads 1 tail all the rest. You would have, it will start off as creative action, but then would turn into another card. Does that make sense? So it is for every time you get a 3 heads or 3 tails, you totally change what it is.
What it is. Interesting. Okay. This is really cool because reading in The Man in the High Castle, there was this like it does describe how the characters go through everything when they're reading it. And they're like, okay, well, this means this and this means this, and I have to pull another one or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely feels like complicated, not complicated necessarily, but like, and then there's also like the fact that the reader, like the person who's doing it, it is really up to them, which is such obvious, like you said before, like such a Taoist thing where it's like, it's never going to tell you a yes or no answer because that's what you want to do. Yes or no. Do you want to do this thing? Okay, well, let's, all right, I can help you with like, what happens then? Or like, how do I do this or whatever. But even with tarot, because I do personal tarots and people will ask me these yes or no questions. They'll be like, is this thing going to work out? And I'm like, do you want this to work out? Are you going to do it? Because the universe will conspire for you in every instance, but it sounds like you don't want to do it or you're doubtful or you're whatever. So it's like sometimes the questions that you ask too are a huge part of, you already know the answers in the way that you're asking the questions. So
Indeed. And so, and that's her point. So, but so in the oracle side, let's call it the oracle side. So in the oracle side, is that a lot of beginning fortune tellers or oracles would use the chopsticks, but the real masters would use the coins because it becomes so more complicated because you not just got one answer, you've got more than one answer because it's the lines to unbroken lines, and then each of those lines also means something on top. So it's a whole bag of cats and can of worms. But there was a little
bag of cats and a can of worms.
Yeah, or can of cats
American,
and a bag of worms.
That sounds like an old-timey Southern. Well, that's a whole bag of cats and a can of worms.
Indeed. Indeed. It's complicated on complicated.
I like that though. I think that that's important. Like, I think I love this idea though. I've already been obsessed with this idea with the tarot, that like the tarot is a journey that I will be understanding more about my whole life. And with the I Ching, it's the same thing where it's like, this is this thing that you can learn about, and learning a system it's almost like learning a system makes the reader empowered enough to then really take ownership of whatever, it's like a real relationship between yourself and the I Ching. And that's exactly what, when I was reading, this is the only thing I referenced to, so I'm going to keep talking about Man in the High Castle, but like, that's what they keep kind of talking about the I Ching like it's its own entity, like it's its own force. And that really is kind of what it becomes, where
it is.
Is okay. Good. Keep going. I'm tantalized.
Well, like I say, it is, there's so much in it. So like I say, but on a basic level, people just see those 6 lines of a broken, unbroken, and their 64 combinations. The issue is, there's more than that. The issue is, for starters, we actually say 2 sets of triagrams, tri obviously being 3. So the top 6 lines, sorry, the top 3 lines is 1 trigram, and the bottom 3 lines is another trigram. Okay. So think of the 6 lines, cut them in half, you have a top and a bottom. Now, the trigrams, so the trigrams are actually, can also be known as ba qua, which means 8 trigrams. So there's 8 set of 3 lines. Okay. Within
all right.
the I Ching.
I see. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Like this other layer of, great. I'm following. Yeah. Keep going.
Because when you're going into the oracle side, it gives you more in-depth reading, because you see the top and the bottom trigrams have their own meaning. Plus, then when they combine, they become one of the I Ching. Okay. When you're talking about martial arts, it's actually about different fighting techniques within the actual system. And when you're talking about healing, again, it's different healing points within that system. And the thing I haven't mentioned, well, there's 2 things I haven't mentioned yet. One of them
there's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Well, one of them is the I Ching is actually a version of a Reiki symbol. It's actually a power symbol.
Really?
You can actually use it like a power symbol, a Reiki symbol. So not
Each of the
only
64? Each of the 64 is like that, do you mean?
yes, each of the
Okay.
64 plus each of the 8 trigrams, which we'll get to in a second.
Like
But
sacred
you
symbol.
know
Interesting.
that they're actually like a Reiki, so you can actually draw them in the air. Say you wanted to
Okay.
create a certain energy, so you wanted what, like say that first trigram is creative action. You know, so it's not just action, it's creative action, because the second one is internal action or fertility, which is internalized action. So it's the nurturing and the continuing, but the first one is the making it happen. So say you want to make things happen, you want the heavens to open, you want glory to happen, you draw almost like a Reiki symbol, those 6 lines in front of you, and activate it with intent, with emotion as well, thinking it, feeling it, and doing it. Back to those 3 ones. Everything is Qi, Jing, and Shen. Doing, Qi is physical vitality or doing. Jing is emotional vitality or feeling, and Shen is spiritual vitality or inspiration or thinking, as of sorts. So in the Dragon Dog Shaman, you would think it, you would feel it, and you would do it, and that's how you manifest. So you could use the I Ching. You could use the I Ching and say, creative action. I want this thing to actively happen now. So draw those 6 lines and you activate it, and you feel of that creative action happening. So you read. It's like saying, it's like activating one of the tarot cards. Say, you know, you want their, like, let's just pick on like the tower. The tower card, you know, you want things to flip round from what you have now. You want to build something far more stronger, far more better. So it would be like bringing the tower card out and going, using the tower card and saying, I'm activating this now. From what I have now, I'm going to make something stronger and better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that too. I think that's fantastic because I do feel like there are times where I'll be out in the world or something and I'll just feel like, actually, it was funny. I did a Reiki session for somebody and the image that I got of them was as the 4 of Swords. They were a knight before battle. And so I love this concept of once you understand a system, once you have something like the I Ching or tarot, something that is greater from yourself, something that's ancient, that other people are also putting their energy, their intent, and their meaning into, it's like this, yeah, like this greater thing that will come to you when you need it if you have already tapped into it. So I love that. And I love that I didn't know that you can kind of use it as yeah, like symbols to,
Well, as a power up or an activation is that
that's so cool.
we read oracle cards or tarot cards as, oh, that's telling us what's happening. Well, that's very yin, but you can yang it, you can make it,
Yang it.
you can yang it, you can be like General Quan, which we'll talk about in the future. He's like very much the yang energy. He's the Western version of him is Archangel Metatron. You know, he's the protector, he's the guardian, but he's a bit like a Sifu. He guides you. He's there to protect. He's not a warrior in the Western term as going to beat stuff up. I almost swore then. Beat the puck out of people. He's not there to do that, but he can if he has to. But he's more, so it's about assertiveness. So the thing of the tarot cards or oracles is at the moment we read them and go, oh, what's happening next? Well, why not create it? Why not understand what each card means and you use it to activate it? So the I Ching is also actually like a power, it's like a Reiki symbol in essence, or it's a magic spell. It's a manifestation tool. You can actually manifest those different energies. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm so excited about the I Ching. I'm so because you've been talking about it, and like I know you just got you had lent them to a friend of yours, and you were like, "Oh, I got my I Ching cards back." So I'm so excited that we're like, just for the record for anyone listening, we've never had this conversation before, so this is all totally new to me too, and I'm really
You're getting an exclusive
exclusive.
Allis Wells and Sifu Boggie conversation. That normally happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You're actually hearing us talk about it.
I do think it's probably a little bit obvious though that I have absolutely no idea. So maybe that's already come across.
But that's not. Yeah, but beginner's mind, which that will have to be a podcast at some point as well.
So true. This is something that I notice about children too all the time, where kids will just say stuff or they'll ask things or if you don't know, it's almost like your beginner mind or your your inner child is like completely protected. It's totally disarming towards whatever, even yourself, towards even the ego that you have that keeps you in line and everything. If it's something that you don't know, you're kind of at an advantage. I remember one time I've hopped around from a couple of different farms and I was learning how to spin yarn at this one farm in Maine. It was like super idyllic, right? But I kind of apologized when I was learning. I was like, "Oh, it's really lumpy and I feel bad that I'm like wasting the wool essentially." And she was like, "Actually, no, I was going to ask you if I could like have this," because it turns out that the way that beginners spin yarn is this really beautiful, like sort of fun, like funny, chunky pattern. And you can't do it after it's almost impossible to fake it. And because of that, it winds up being, you can charge a little bit more for it because it's this unique thing. And I was like, what? I mean, that was such a beautiful message to get. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. You can have this. You can, sure. This is great. But that's, we think so much like, oh, the beginner is a fool, but like the fool is at an advantage because everything's in front of them and it's not like, yeah, is that like, that's pure optimism.
But the full card, I love your translation of the full card because that's very Daoist. It is that the fool is actually has far more power than people think.
I think so.
This is why this is why there was a book by Benjamin Hoff called The Tao of Pooh, as in Winnie the Pooh, and he showed that Winnie the Pooh was actually a Taoist philosopher. And the real funny thing is that people go, what? And then what happened? The Western philosophy goes, Winnie the Pooh's also like Plato. He's also like this, and he's also and it caused this big controversy because they actually showed that his sort of childlike way and his innocence and his, when a lot of people would read the books originally of Winnie the Pooh and go, he's very simple. But look at all the adventures he had because of his and in actual fact, the word a Pooh in Chinese, like Pooh, means uncarved block. So there's so much potential in that uncarved block. And for Allis, because she's a student as well, the Wu Chi, the circle, is unlimited possibility. So it's all part of unlimited possibility. Wu Chi Pu means the uncarved block, the unlimited possibility goes into Wu Wei, which is do little and everything is done, which doesn't mean do nothing, but just from, like you touch the water, a little touch with the water and it becomes a ripple, and that ripple eventually becomes a wave. Or think of the butterfly effect. Little butterfly's wings causes a great hurricane somewhere else. Everything builds up. So the Wu Wei concept is that from little becomes everything. So the Wu Chi and the uncarved block is that there's so much potential there, waiting to happen. So this whole, this is all interconnected within Taoism and whatnot. But the whole thing of the Winnie the Pooh is this: you just let things be, you just do. So there is this. Yes, you can read the I Ching, or you can use it for spell casting. You can use it for manifestation. On the healing side of the I Ching, it then becomes like a Reiki symbol where it's actually activating certain thing. Oh, where do I go? Right. So on that healing side,
yeah. Wait. So we've got. I want to make sure. So we've got. There's Oracle. there's healing, and then what was the third one? Just so that I have it in my mind.
Martial.
Martial.
There's that.
Oh, yeah. You said that. Okay, you said that.
Well, on one again. Remember yin and yang. Everything. There's so many. One thing is never one thing. There's always lots of things in there. So
That's true.
even with the martial, on one side that's strategy, so it can be used for business. On the other side, it's fighting. So it's the whole idea that it always flips. There's always a line or a yin and a yang in everything. So we'll go to the healing, and then we'll go back to the Bakwa, the 8 trigrams, because this is important as well. Because in the oracle, it helps on one side. In the healing, it helps a lot. The knowing about the Bakwa knows a lot, and in the strategy, it helps a lot as well. So, but I just want to do the healing bit first.
Yeah.
So
go for it. I'm excited.
So what freaked out medical science was as follows: when they started doing the DNA. The test.
The DNA thing. Okay. I remember what we're talking about. Yeah. I'm excited.
So when we started doing the DNA, in the test, it came up in a certain way, you see, and the Daoist said, well, there was a Chinese, couple of Chinese doctors sort of said this, and goes, oh yeah, that's that. Oh, you're doing DNA, and I go, how do you know? It says, yeah, we've had that for over. So the I Ching is said to be somewhere between 3,000 and 10,000 years old, 3,000 to 10,000 years old, and the DNA strands actually come up as 6 broken or unbroken lines. And in the human DNA, there are 64 of these broken and unbroken lines. The strands are on the reading, and they would say, oh yeah, that's the DNA. That's the I Ching, that's the DNA. And they said, what are you talking about? And they showed them the 64 trigrams, and it is actually in a different sequence, because they've got it from 1 to 64, but it's actually the sequence of the DNA strands of the human body. So the I Ching is actually the same sequence of the human DNA.
That is freaking wild to me. That stuff's so crazy to me. I mean, it's really, what's so interesting is that I feel like since having this like reawakening or whatever we want to call it, it is like I can see things the way that, monkey mind sees it. And then I can also see it in this, through this, what you would, the quote unquote, the rose colored glasses, the rose colored window at the, like in the OA, like it's that rose colored window out the top of the house, like through the third eye. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course that makes sense, because I feel like we're so used to not knowing about these things that it's like, that's amazing, this is mystical and magical. But it's also like, I mean, yeah, this knowledge is also literally always available to us in like through, you can tap into these things through the Akashic records, or you can whatever, or like if you just freaking will believe your ancestors about stuff, like, yeah, there is this ancient knowledge that already exists. There's so many ways to come to this knowledge that what I think what like at least a Western monkey mind does just is limited.
Yeah. And
we'll say that.
You mentioned the Akashic records. The Dao would simply call it tuning into the Dao. And the difference between the Daoist version of the Akashic records and the Western version of the Akashic records is that Akashic records in the West tend to be the records of the planet, of Earth. The Dao would say, no, it's the records of everything, of you, that your records from, and because they see us, they see you and me as we have a body, and our body is made of billions of cells, and those cells are billions of atoms, and even further, each one of those atoms is billions of something. Let's say it's go by string theory, so you've got billions of strings within that atom, and each one of those strings is a consciousness. And so there's loads of consciousnesses that make the atom, and then that atom, there's loads of atoms that make the cell, and then those cells, there's loads of cells that make your body. So your body, Allis Wells, my body, Sifu Boggie, is literally a universe on its own. that your whole body is a universe. And there's a whole thing on that, you know, within traditional TMC, traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, I said it the wrong way round. See, I'm getting excited now, so the stammer is coming out.
Yeah. String theory.
There's so much. But so within traditional Chinese medicine, one of the medical theories that they would say is the organs in the body were actually planets, and the heart was a star. And that was one version of how they translated it. Another version was that the heart was an emperor, and then there was different, you know, all the other organs were different different leaders or different members of the emperor's family. So but the whole idea is that there's all this information, there's all this energy within you, and then you, the Allis Wells, is the governoress or the empress of this body. You have lived since the dawn of time, and you'll live until the end of time, or at least this universe. So you have your own Akashic records for all those millions of billions of years, when you was an atom, you was a sun, you was a planet, you was a human, you was a dog, you was a caterpillar, you was a rock, you was a mountain, you was an ocean. Within Taoism, you are all these things. Within the I Ching, that can unlock all those different things. So the I Ching actually has the ability to unlock all those different things within inside you in a certain way, which leads me to the Ba Qua. So the Ba Qua means Ba is 8, and the Qua is trigrams, so 8 trigrams. So there are 8 trigrams of 3 lines each, either broken or unbroken.
Question.
Is
that the same Qua as your hips?
Ish. No, it's
the same word.
Chinese language. The word's the same, but you say it in a different way.
Oh, okay. So never mind. Because I was thinking maybe there was
English. You're a little bit of an English.
Just a bit.
You know. so figure. Well, no. What I'm trying to say, the word two. 1, 2, too many. Go to.
Oh, okay. I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
So it's like the same. It sounds the same, but it's a totally different word. I gotcha.
Yeah, it's totally different. Because in the Chinese language, well, I mean, there's actually many different dialects within China, just like, say, India and Africa, many different dialects. But within a lot of the Chinese language, it's tonal. So if the tone goes up, it means one word. If the tone goes down, it means another word. If it goes down, up, down, it means one word. If it goes up, it means another word. So you can have the same word meaning 3 different things at least. Okay?
Thank you.
So
just wanted to make sure I knew what we were.
No. And that's all good. So the Ba Qua is the 8 trigrams, and the interesting thing with the Ba Qua is that the Ba Qua was said to be seen on the turtle's back. So these lines were seen on the turtle's back. And that had the Ba Qua. Now, from the Ba Qua is said to be the I Ching, but there's a bit of a chicken and egg, which came first, because a lot say the I Ching already existed, but then a lot say no. The Ba Qua came first. So the Ba Qua is as follows. So the trigram. So you have dragon, which is 3 unbroken lines. That is the dragon, the heaven energy. Okay. You have the earth, which is 3 broken lines. With me so far?
I gotcha. I'm with you.
Cool. Then this is where it gets interesting. You have thunder. Thunder is 2 broken lines, and at the bottom is 1 unbroken line.
Ooh, I like that has a visual effect of like a channel right to earth, like lightning striking.
It's almost like the bottom line so thunder is actually that the thunder, well, you know, the thunder
It's like a
is,
stripe,
because they would see
okay.
thunder and lightning is the same thing, so the lightning is split the two top lines to get to the earth, so the thunder and it's broken to the lines.
Oh, so
The
thunder and
sound,
lightning is the same, like it's like a stormish.
yeah,
Just kind
yeah,
of a general
it is
storm.
part of the same thing, you know. With thunder, sooner or later comes lightning, and where you get the crack of the lightning, they would call thunder. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So it's all kind of a similar storm
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
metaphor. I gotcha. I gotcha. The
There's a
visual
lot
still
more.
is is still
There's a lot more
striking.
to it, and you know, I'm very much. This is very much the beginner version of it, you know,
Yeah,
because
I'd be
there's,
too
you know,
overwhelmed with anything
yeah,
too more complicated. I think you
but-
should teach it. I mean, like eventually the whole goal is that like Shundao becomes such that we can just like you can teach a class on this and that would be really fun. So
in the Shindao system is the I Ching.
the I Ching. I
You
love
know,
that.
so
Everyone join Shundao.
you know, so there was, well, there's lots of metaphors in Taoism, and especially in the Shundao system. So the Shundao Qigong, on the Qigong side, there's a healing side, the massage, Shundao massage, Shundao Qigong, so energy work, and then there's also Shundao, the martial side, but it tends to be called Shundo, because Do is
Oh.
Japanese, and it's the physical way, the fighting way. It's very tangible. Dao, they say, it's a bit wishy-washy. It's a bit, oh, you know, it's a little bit. But the other way is, but Shun Dao. So Dao means the way, the path to balance. Shun can mean to flow, which would be more yin and more spiritual, or it can mean to fold. So to fold or to break. So shun, so the shun Dao in Chinese, they would normally say shun Dao, and that one of the translation is like to fold or break. So it's like arm locks, and it's more than that, but it's breaking somebody with the martial way. So if you fold them up, you either fold them into a little parcel, or you fold round them so they can't even get to you. It's a bit flowering, but what my Sifus would they personally used Shundo, and that, so it would make it very, very clear we're talking about the fighting side here, chaps.
Yes.
So chaps, yeah, I'm English. Every now and again I get a little bit, you know, hello chaps, jolly good. I had some very private school friends who obviously a little bit of the what we call like the Chubbly Warner, you know, it's very, very, you know, very posh English, and so there's a little bit of England
touch of
still
that every once in a while comes out.
and
Just a
yeah,
touch.
every now and again I'll get a little bit, I get a little bit
Bit
Chubbly
posh.
Warner, I get a little bit, oh, tally good, tally ho, jolly good, you know, it's a little bit like this, you know, especially when I talk to certain people, certain friends of mine, and then there's a very EastEnders side of me. It's all right, Gav, all right, mate, you know, yeah, apples and pears, you know, and yeah, so, but anyway,
Just
I
to go off
digress.
actually on a little bit more of a tangent, I was pretty impressed that you are technically a true Cockney because you were born within the bells of,
Yeah,
what is it?
I was born within the sound of the bow bells. Though yes, well,
So
no,
you didn't stay there technically, but I still think that counts.
yeah, I haven't lived there, but I was born there, so I'm
And
not
that's all that
technically.
the saying says is the requirement.
Exactly. Well, yeah, yes, there is that. So, but anyway, we digress.
We digress.
So another thing of thunder can also, so thunder is the eldest son. So it is because it can be seen. So you have sons and daughters within this system. So it's seen as the eldest son, represents turbulence, shock, and arousement. So it's a very much stirring energy. The thunder, you know, it is. So within war, they would have drums that sound like thunder. because it shocks people. And, you know, is that, and they used to call the thunder, it was the sound of the dragon, because the heavens, so when they saw dark clouds, the dragons stir, the dragon energy stirs, and the thunder was like almost like was it Jack and the Beanstalk, you know, fee fi fo fum. It's that sort of very stir, you know. And when he was a kid, it was all, you know, you'd get, you know, stirred up by that. That's the thunder energy. It's very much like a dragon's roar. So then you have, so we've done the dragon, we've done the earth. Then you have water or chasms. So that's a broken line on top, a unbroken line in the center, and a broken line underneath. So that's the next one. I'm not going to explain all of them because we'll be here all night. The next one after that is mountain. So that's an unbroken line and 2 broken lines on top. Now, if you notice, that's the opposite to thunder. So the thunder is 2 broken lines and an unbroken line at the bottom. Mountain is a unbroken line on top and two broken lines underneath. Now, within Daoist philosophy, they say mountains are hollow, that things live inside the mountains. Yeah. And if you're into UFOs, there is a little bit of, you know, some people claim that certain mountains.
I'm doing Doctor Who noises. That was what
Yeah, exactly. or was it Twilight Zone? Do, 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 do.
The mountains are hollow. Ah!
But anyway, we digress. So the next one after that.
Oh, wait. I wanted to ask, is that sort of like, I like that it's the opposite, because you think of thunder as kind of like the heavens making themselves known to earth, but then the mountains are sort of the opposites, where it's like an earthen thing reaching upwards.
Yes. And that's exactly it. Is, remember, again, this is another podcast for another time, but the triangle pointing up and the triangle pointing down, which is part of the macabre or Merkaba, we say now how it was taught to me, the triangle, so the base is at the top and the pointy bit is at the bottom. That is yang raining onto earth. So the heavens rains onto the earth. The pointy, the flat bit at the bottom and the pointy bit going, a pyramid, think of a pyramid, that is earth rising to heaven. So the pyramids are actually, again, within Taoism, there's actually, Boggie's going to do it again.
What? Menren. I was like, what, a tangent? We already know it's a tangent.
Yeah. It's a tangent on a tangent on a tangent.
Well, you're a Gemini rising. I know that you don't know what that means, but obvious to everyone else.
I'm starting to. But no, there's actually there's over 130 pyramids in China. Just nobody's telling you. And they're Mayan. Why are we whispering? I don't know. Yeah, so there's 130, but pyramids are actually. My Sifu said this, like, when I was growing up. So pyramids are chargers. Pyramids are power cells. And it's like, you know, I should have known that already.
Yeah, so this like 11-year-old kid who's like, and you're like, duh.
Why would I know that, Sifu? Well, you do now. Okay. So a pyramid is actually a power cell, but the capstone, now these pyramids are supposed to have capstone. The capstone represents that other pyramid pointing down. So the pyramid becomes a macabre.
Oh, okay.
And again, that's another story for another time. The Merkaba, but Merkaba or macabre is 2 words in one. It can mean chariot, but it also is this vehicle, this energetic vehicle, 2 pyramids spinning around, creating lots of energy. It's basically sort of like your Dantian. Why am I whispering again? I don't know.
It's like we're in a closet all of a sudden.
But your Dantian, which are power cells. But anyway, back to the trigrams. We've only got 3 more. So the next one, 2 unbroken lines and a broken line, is wind or wood. Then I always love this one. The unbroken line, broken line, unbroken line. is fire. So fire is there's yang on the outsides, and there's yin in the center. So the fire, so, and which is
It's like
true.
a s'more.
Well, when you have a
Oh, I
flame, if you were like me as a kid and burnt things and liked lighting candles and melting candles and
Oh
burning
my God,
stuff.
I've always loved candles. I've been a candle person.
Well, you learn that the fire with a flame, the heat is on the outside. In the center, it's the coolest spot. So that blew my mind when I learned that the fire symbol in the triagrams is 2 yang lines with a yin line in the center. So unbroken line, unbroken line, broken line, unbroken line. So there's a hole in the center. So the coolest bit, because yin tends to be cooler, yang tends to be hotter, the coolest bit is in the center of the flame, which is true. You know, the center of a flame, the coolest bit is actually the bit in the center. That's why that burns the slowest. The hottest bit is on the outside.
Like the blue, not the blue part.
Yeah.
What can sometimes be like a white.
And then one more trigram, which is lake. So it's broken line and 2 unbroken lines, which again, so if you think of yin can be considered water. So it's water on top of the earth. So it's the lake. So the lake. So yeah. So the trigram. So each trigram makes up an I Ching. Okay. So one of those I Ching is 2 trigrams, one on top of the other. So
okay, I got you now. I get why this is okay. So you gotta like break it down to then put it back together. I understand. Okay.
Yeah. So the tangent is actually a circle. You know,
I trust you. It always comes around. I'm on the ride.
It's just how long you can hold on to a boggy tangent for, and if you can, you get all the way to the other side.
Yeah, for the wisdom on the end, it's worth it.
Yeah, so the whole idea is like you can see this is the thing with the cards or the chopsticks. You know, if you just read those 6 lines, it will give you one lot of information. But if you actually split it up into 2 triagrams, that gives you another set of information, but each one of those lines will give you information as well. So it goes deeper, and it's like quantum physics. The deeper you go, the more you'll find. And it's a big, long wormhole or rabbit hole or Winnie the Pooh hole, you know, whichever hole works best for you. But it's a spiral on top of a spiral on top of a spiral.
Cool. And I also noticed that can you kind of put them together? I mean, like, so the logo for Shun Dao obviously has I Ching symbols in it as well. So
no. It has the 8 trigrams. It has the 8 trigrams. Remember the I Ching.
Okay. The I Ching is when you put them together.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
so it's a double trigram.
So the symbols on the symbol, the trigrams on the Shun Dao logo are the ones that make up the I Ching. They're on their own.
Yeah. They make up so it's all 8 of the 8 trigrams. Okay. And there's actually on there when you look at them, you start at the top and you go clockwise all the way round. That is called the creation cycle. If they were going the other way, it would be the destruction cycle. So those 8 trigrams. So the Bakwa, the 8 trigrams, you also will find on a Bakwa mirror. And a Bakwa mirror is found in feng shui or water wood. So the whole like looking at properties and finding out the different places to where to put your toilet and where to put your bed and where's the money coming in and where's it pouring out and where's your fortune. So the feng shui uses the I Ching, uses the Bakwa trigram.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, it really does all build upon itself. It's so hard to take one aspect of the Taoist arts and just remove it from the rest of them because they are all completely reliant, not even reliant on each other, but they just reference each other. And yeah, because without it, like people have tried to explain feng shui to me a bunch, and they're like, "Oh, it's this and that," and I'm like, "I don't think it's that." I'm pretty sure that's the Western version. I'm pretty sure you're making this up, and it makes so much sense now that I'm actually tied into this greater thing where I'm like, "Oh, that's why it didn't make any sense to me before," because it's this whole system. You have to understand everything else to understand like one portion, and so it's kind of like a perpetual balance. And but I love that. That's what I like about all this is that it leads you through your entire life. It's you're not going to just jump in and know it in like 6 months or something. It's very much a living Tao. It's how you integrate it into your life, and that's how you learn things. And
Yep.
So
Well, yeah, that's why I'm a living Daoist, because it's all about integration for me.
yeah, integrate. Right. That's the term.
You know, it's what's the point knowing it if you can't do something
You're
with
not going
it?
to do, yeah, if you're not going to actually, yeah, definitely.
And I just wanted to say that there's that great Western saying about 6 degrees of separation. You know, there's the thing of or there's six people. You know, that the 6 degrees of separation is basically that say, you know, you'll find a stranger, and they say within 6 moves you could find a reason they're connected to you. That their uncle.
Specifically, you can find Kevin Bacon in that many moves.
Exactly.
That's what we say. Yeah.
Yeah. 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon.
Kevin
Yeah.
Bacon.
So this is the thing with Taoism, that all these different systems look totally different or separate, but they're actually all interconnected. They're all, you know, ones on top of the one, or on top of the other, on top of the other. So the 8 trigrams are trigrams, so they're the 3 ones. In the 3 ones, you have the yin and the yang, the straight lines, the broken lines. That 3 ones is also Qi, Jing, and Shen, mind, body, spirit. It goes within to the 5 elements. It goes into everything, you know, everything. In Taoism, they tend to say the 10,000 things. Yeah. And the 10,000 things is everything, is that, you know, eventually you get to everything. You can start with the 1 or the 0, or you can eventually get to 10,000 things.
My favorite thing about the 10,000 things is I love how it is something that someone would just say flippantly, which I feel like is just the flavor we're really going for. They're like, and there's, I don't know, there's like 10,000 things. And what they actually mean is everything. I love that. That totally endeared me to Taoism. There's something about the fact that 10,000 is everything. Just feels like something. It's almost silly, and I do like that. Appreciate that there is an element of silliness and like whatever. It's a bunch of stuff. What else do you need to know? It's 10. It's like 10. It's almost like 10,000. It's infinite. The 10,000 is equivalent to infinite somehow. I just really appreciated that.
Yeah, you know what? You know, it was the Daoist way of saying it's a lot.
It's a bunch. What else do you need to know? I don't know.
You know, it's all there. It's all there. That's
yeah.
So this is the thing where the barefoot doctor will. It's their goal is to learn the 10,000 things. So the barefoot doctor actually wants to learn everything and learns all these different strategies and all these different things. So, you know, the barefoot doctor uses the I Ching in that way, that, oh yes, it's they'll keep delving deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole, where the dragon dog shaman, the I Ching is the 64, focus on the 64. Yes, you can go deeper, but just feel with it, go with it. You know, you don't, you know, learn it, be in more intuitive and go with the flow. That, and one dragon dog shaman will be different to another dragon dog shaman, because shaman, they experience, so they have different experiences. So you could go to one and learn one thing, you go to another dragon dog shaman and you could learn something totally different. Barefoot doctors tend to be, oh, he's in this school, he's in this school, he's in this school, and we sort of within Tai Chi and Qigong, you get different schools in the West. Oh, it's this school and this one's the best, and this school and this one's the best, and this school, where the dragon dog go, oh, they're all the best, they're all good. Just, you know, it's the good right now.
Yeah.
And
good right now. Ooh, that's a great saying. Let's put that on a freaking t-shirt. It's the good right now.
Sifu Boggie,
Dragon dog.
good right now.
Yeah.
Mm. Indeed. Well, I don't know how long we've been going, but I think it's more. I think we must be coming up to an hour.
Have we gone through all of the? I'm just chilling here. Have we gone through all of the?
Well, we've gone through all of the 8 triagrams, the Bakwa. We've gone through all of them. The I Ching, like say, so you have those 64 triagrams, but that it's not where it stops. You can go, you can split it into 2 of the Bakwa, then you can go from each of the lines. So as an oracle reading, it's very in depth, and it can, you can keep asking questions on that one I Ching, and it will give you more stuff. It won't necessarily, and normally doesn't give you what you want, but it will give you what you need. It will tell you, because the I Ching tends to work on outcomes rather than, yes, you will win the lottery, or no, you won't. You won't marry that gorgeous person that you're after. It will tend more, well, this is more this, the likelihood of this outcome is this, the likelihood of this outcome is that. And especially if you get one of those trends, if you do it the coin way, you'll suddenly get one where it goes from this to this. So like a reverse card, it flips from one I Ching to the next, and then within that you then got 2 I Ching, and meaning 10,000 different things. So so on the oracle side, it's very in depth. On the healing side, it is both a diagnostic tool, but it's also like medicine, because you can go, I want this, right, let's put this strand in, let's activate this one, let's activate this DNA, this I Ching, let's activate this I Ching. And the goal, a little bit like the sacred sounds that we've been learning in the class, is that yes, you can use them individually, but when you use all 64 on the healing wise or martially, or strategy, when you use all 64, when you actually understand all 64, you actually have a complete picture. You actually activate, so spiritually, so healing / spiritual, you actually activate your DNA. You actually activate all the codons in the DNA, all the strands that, or all that junk DNA, which isn't actually junk, is activated, is said to be activated when you fully understand the I Ching. So when people say, Boggie, you've got so much energy, you've got so much power. Well, maybe it's got something to do with the I Ching, and I don't fully get it yet. I haven't learned it fully, but I'm getting there. I've been doing it. I've been studying it for around about less than 4 years. So 35 years. 35 years I've been studying the I Ching. I didn't study it at first. I studied it about 4 years in. So about 35, be 36 next year. About February next year, be 36 years. So
there's that personal relationship with our. That's what I was saying before. Like if you like the same way the tarot, or the same way even people view their holy books in this way too. They spend their entire lives rereading and finding wisdom in that way, and that sort of thing. Like this is such a. I think that sometimes for me or for. I've noticed there is like this panic in people who are recently reawakening or recently into spirituality, or they're going back into whatever their ancestral religion is, or however they are connecting to this force in their life. There is this overwhelming thing of like, I have to know everything right now. I have to change everything about my life. And it's like, no, this is an ever evolving relationship. Also, because, the other aspect is that there have probably been other lifetimes where we've had relationships with these ancient knowledge systems because they've been around for that long. So, it's kind of like getting to know even not just what these systems were like for our soul, but for this individual lifetime in this individual body, and what it can bring to us in that way.
And I just want to add one more thing. So for at least probably 10, 20 years of learning the I Ching, the least thing they did was the words. What do I mean by that is that I would get to be told to actually just look at the 6 lines, or whether they're broken or look at them and meditate upon them. There is another way to do it as well, and visually, what people are going to see, I've got a Tibetan bowl, a mini metal bowl, and I've got a little hammer. Now, but you on podcast, you're about to hear what. So a unbroken line would be. A broken line would be. So think of the, so we did creative action, the first one. So the 6 unbroken lines. So the Sifu, I'd be sitting there meditating, and every period of time, for that creative action, he would go. And then he would let that energy swell in me. And then the period of time, he'd do that again. For the fertility, which is the 6 broken lines, he would do. And the same again, he would let me. So think of that. Each one of those I Ching would be a 1 hit or 2 hits. So a unbroken line would be 1, and the 2 hits were 2. So you now created the I Ching into sound. It's now a sound combination.
I wonder how much of Morse code is based off the I Ching. That's probably some deep state stuff I'm not supposed to say, but if we're being honest with ourselves, Morse code is definitely I Ching.
There is that thing of, where did that come from?
Yeah, if it's been around for so long. Yeah. Well, it's very similar to like the 0010110. That's also like on and off. Yeah, one thing or another thing, like straight lines and zeros. Yeah, yin and yang. So
original coding.
It's
0-1.
Coding must be based off of the original code, which is like us inside. Yeah. We could go off on this forever, definitely.
And I think we have quite a bit. So I think we should probably wrap this up, because I honestly don't know how long we'll be going for. But
I feel like I have at least a very a basic understanding, and I'm really grateful for all of this, and I'm excited for the day when we can actually have classes, I Ching classes that are actually at Shundao, and kind of go into that whole thing, because I'm sure people would love to know about it. And I personally would also, of course, love to know more about it.
Yeah, and like I say, we jokingly said, "Oh, this is very basic." I think it's actually a little bit more than basic, but we have gone quite in depth into certain bits. But like I say, how deep do you want to go? There's a lot. We've only just talked about the basics, not actually what each one is. Like each one of the Bakwa, let alone the I Ching. And like I say, we could probably do a whole series just on that.
Maybe we will at some point. That'd be fun. I mean, later on, but I think this is a really good introduction, at least, for everything.
Indeed. So, Allis Wells, just remind us again, where can we find you? Where are you on the great web?
Well, you can find me at Shundao, because you're probably not going to plug this, so I will. Patreon.com/Sifu Boggie if you would like to join Shundao and join weekly Qigong classes. You can also find me at Awaken Atlas on Instagram, and also TikTok. TikTok's just for fun. And Instagram, I post links to my tarot readings that I do YouTube and stuff. And then I also do individual Reiki sessions, as well as individual tarot readings. I also do light code. We haven't even gotten into that. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
And yes, and that's not, and you will find it down below when I've because this will be this is quite live-ish. Well, it is live, but what I'm saying is that this is actually going out for next Saturday. So
it is. It's not like we don't have to. It's not. There isn't an incubation kind of period. Yeah.
Indeed. So what that means is that before this gets sent to the wonderful Bring Me to
Bring
Life.
me to life. Yeah, you got it.
Indeed.
I was just helping.
I know, and you're helping in a very awesome way. But before, I will make sure that down below you will find magically Allis Well's information, and know that at this moment in time when you're listening, it doesn't. I haven't got it yet, but it will be there magically now, because we're coming from the past into the future. But
Time
also
doesn't exist, so all you have to know is that it is there.
Indeed. I love that tone. Indeed.
When I'm pretending to be you. Yes, indeed. Thank you for coming to the way, the conscious way, the way of conscious mindfulness. I am Sifu Boggie. See, you can't tell the difference at all. Farewell and happy travels till the next time. Sorry.
There was a bit of Cockney going in there, I think. There's a bit, till the next time, governor. But anyway, now we're just getting
right.
silly. Well, we're getting normal for us, but it's silly to you guys. But or not, or maybe you're enjoying it. I hope you are. But anyway, yes, all my information is also down below. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook under the Way of Conscious Mindfulness. You can find me on TikTok as well. But she's got more followers than I have. But I like saying that. Because she's awesome. That's what Allis Wells, is awesome.
All right. I get it. Yeah, they get it. They get the picture. I'm great. All right.
But anyway, you can also find me on LinkedIn, and all the information is down below. And we've actually got a Discord, which you will also find down below, to Sifu Boggie's Chi Tribe. And there's a public version, but then you can also find me on Patreon, which the wonderful Allis Wells did actually say, under www.patreon.com/Sifu Boggie. You can find me there, and that will be the Shun Dao School, where you can actually learn Qigong and Shin Chi Shen, which is Chinese Reiki. Look back at that podcast if you haven't heard that one. That's with Allis as well. That was a really good podcast, even if I do say so myself. And you can learn many different Qigongs and the I Ching and the island and many other things that we will talk about in the future. But for now, remember, open your mind to the way, the conscious way, the way of conscious mindfulness. Bye-bye.